insurance industry plays a significant role in Nigeria's economic growth and development, as the industry has continued to strive in the face of economic crisis, with so many claims to settle. According to the National Bureau of Statistics in its report on finance and insurance on the country's gross domestic report for the third quarter of 2023, the industry expanded, of course, by 16.99% in the financial period, as growth in real terms rose to 28.21% in Q3 of 2023. But given the recent claim settlement, well, how is the industry striving? Well, let's talk about this. And I'm being joined by the right person. He's the president of the Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers, Mr. Babatunde Oguntade. Thank you so much. It's good to have you here.
Thank you, Tolu.
Yes.
I'm happy to be here.
Great. And I'm going to start very quickly with the role of insurance really in risk management. How has it been? How have you fared in recent times?
You know, insurance is one of the various tools to mitigate risk, but it is the most vital and the most proven to be useful. Insurance basically gives peace of mind. The role of insurance is to give peace of mind, to give stability. You know, various issues, various risks such as death, injury, create subjects for insurance. You have losses arising and that create financial hardship. Then you also have issues of liability, protection of liability against third parties. You have it in motor, you have it in public building, you have it in marine for ground risk, you have it in engineering risks, like contractor risk. Sure. So the risk, even the way we are seated here, we are carrying some kind of risk, and we need to transfer it. And the easiest way to transfer for a token is insurance. And insurance has proven to be the bedrock of the economy. It's made it easier for a lot of businesses to go back to businesses. You know, you have explosions, you have fires, large fires that has occurred. Ordinarily, those businesses will have been wiped off. Yes. No bank will even be there for you, but when they know that your assets and liabilities are insured, then the insurance even gives some kind of confidence to lenders. They know that in case of any risk crystallizing into a loss, then they have a claim. But where the risk is not insured and you have a loss, you simply have a loss. It becomes a bad loss. But when you have a loss for an insured risk, then you have a claim to pursue. And that is where insurance comes in.
When we look at the figures of penetration now, I think that is it. It still remains very low compared to countries like South Africa, Kenya, and all of that. So what is the reason for insurance underdevelopment?
Well, let me talk to the coordinates and the dynamics that measure the growth of insurance in South Africa, Egypt, and co. You know, pensions used to be part of insurance until 2004. You have trillions of naira in pensions. That's been moved away. If you have, let's say we have 1% now, pensions has grown by about 17%. If it had been insurance, would have said you have 18% growth. And then you also have employers' liability that has been taken to National Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund. That used to be part of insurance. So what we now have basically is the general insurances. Some aspects of life have been taken away. So you find that the penetration rate has not been as fast or dynamic as one would have expected. But basically, we still have the bane of the industry being lack of knowledge by the insuring public, lack of interest, and even the elites to encourage this because the way they do their financial rascality, you find the elites building houses, buying expensive cars with no insurance. When they want to do, they just do the minimal compliance, which is third-party cover. So when people are following people and they learn from the leadership style, so the leadership style of the Nigerian elites is likely responsible for the entire development of insurance practice. We know we go to elites, you tell them, let us do this. So even those of them leading public institutions, they put insurance in the budget. At the end of the day, they don't pay for insurance. They don't execute insurance. So those are the problems that we have there. So but what NICOM has done recently and what my council has done to deepen penetration of insurance is to do walks, road shows. We go to the markets to talk to them. We visit the starter zones. Recently, you were at the Mandela's building. Yes. we spoke to them, we saw that quite a number of them are uninsured. They are uninsured, and you find out that people who are educated, who profess to be financially literate, are taking insurance for granted. That is the basic thing, but we continue to talk to them. And another thing that NICOM has done is to allow what we call microinsurance, so that the poor of the poorest can get protected somewhat. They get loans from microfinance organizations. So the framework for those little kind of insurance is there, because the cost of managing large risk, which you call macro, is so large that underwriters will not generally not want to talk to them. So you now have microinsurance people dealing with that. We are dealing, and the other thing we should look at is vendoring. Looking at the various channels through. Insurance brokers are just the major professionals, the leaders, intermediary services. But we're looking at, in companies in East Africa, they use the telecom organizations to vendor insurance. They get agents from within the market. You find a woman selling pepper, being an insurance agent to an insurance company, covering her colleagues in our association. You find a plumber becoming an agent. And with 15,000 agents, we're still not doing enough. With over 600 brokers, we're still not doing enough. But what we need to do is for government to take the issue of enforcement serious. They should be serious about enforcement. You see, there should be a repercussion for non-compliance. True. But what you now find is that, let's take, for instance, the incident at Mandela's. You soon see the government going to dole out money, handouts. If they had that kind of money to give them, they should have given such money to underwriters to pull risk and use that money as insurance premium. So when a risk crystallizes, then people are given adequate compensation according to their exposure. You just come and do a bandwagon distribution of 50,000 naira. Somebody has had a loss of 50 million. Somebody has had a loss of 5 million naira. Somebody has lost next to nothing. So government should assist insurance penetration through enforcement, through participation, and through support. You find a lot of government assets are not even insured.
Sad. Really sad.
Truly sad.
Well, there's some compulsory insurance that's provided by the law. Can we do an appraisal of that? How have they really fared in recent times?
Okay, recently at a forum, we discussed that there are about 13.6 million vehicles flying Nigerian roads. I think that should even be Lagos. But about 30% of them are insured. That is one form of compulsory insurance, the most common. That is motor insurance, third-party cover. But because there's a kind of lacuna in that law that says it's either you have a third-party insurance cover, that's as far as the 1945 Act, or you have 20,000 naira in your pocket to indemnify should a loss arise. But as of today, I cannot see any car or motorcycle that it will take just 20,000 to repair should an accident occur. So that law is obsolete. Recently, I spoke to a retreat of the parliamentarians on insurance committee, and I told them most of those laws should be reviewed. NICOM that should be monitoring and regulating is even hampered, because NICOM itself does not have subvention, but its income are subject to TSA. NICOM is seen as an agency of government revenue generating agency. They are not. They are regulators. And what we pay to NICOM is to enable them to supervise effectively, regulate effectively, and develop the market effectively. I'll take this medium-term government that NICOM should be taking up the government revenue generation agencies. And should be allowed to use this income 100% to do what it has been set up to do. And government has a lot of role to play in deepening insurance penetration. Enforcement is there. Yeah. You find the police, they look at the paper, people just present third party. I see some papers flying around. You have CEOs who left the industry in 1990 something. And they are the certificates, their signatures are on the certificates that people are carrying. Enforcement is there. go to the Nigerian port, fake marine insurance cover. But there's nothing anybody can do. The customs should join us checking some of these things. Recently, we were in Abuja. We saw them at the Federal Road Safety Commission, and we spoke to them about some of these things that they could help to check. And we are working on a bigger data to help the penetration and deepening of insurance. We hope to see some way out. We keep talking to them, and it is expected that with the kind of synergy between the Nigerian Insurance Association, NIA, Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance, via CRIB, and NICOM, we will get a law in place that will give ease of enforcement, and it will now bring some of these things to the table, and we'll be able to bring insurance to where it should be.
Well, interesting. But now let's not look at your thoughts around how we can increase its contribution to GDP. It's very important. This is the time where government is looking at revenue from all angles. But what really can be done to improve the contribution of insurance to the gross domestic product of Nigeria's economy?
You see, we have enough laws concerning, for instance, compulsory insurance. We have 6 of them. Insurance of building under construction, insurance of public buildings. Okay. You have owner-occupier insurances. You have group life insurance. You have motor insurance. And there's this other one. They are not being well enforced. All the enforcement agencies, like the fire service, yes, the police, civil defense, customs, you come together with the insurance industry to parley. There was a time when we were saying every house must be insured. The survey says we have 46 million houses in Nigeria, but about 28 million of them are uninsured. Recently, there was a stakeholders forum where I brought everybody from the ministry, the police, fire brigade, Ministry of Works and Urban Planning, you had the Hoteliers Association, Institute of Valuers, Institute of Builders. All of us came together in Abuja, and there's a stakeholders forum. We are currently working on a blueprint to get buildings marked and compulsorily insured. That is for the built industry. For motor insurance, we are approaching various states. We've been to Ogun State, we've been to Oyo, those ones are doing minimal compliance on third party. Oshun and Co, we've been to Plateau State. But we continue to talk to the states so that if the states and government at the federal level recognize the role of insurance and they actively participate and enforce, then it will be easier for people in the private sector. I think most of the clients that we have in the insurance industry are individual and private sector entities. But government has the biggest fund. They have the largest exposure as far as Nigeria is concerned. So you can imagine if government itself is properly insured and the adequate premium is being paid, then the GDP that you're talking about will soar. Will soar. What comes into GDP, what we can bring into GDP is the premium collected. But where the premiums are not coming in, and people are even reducing the coverage that they have, given the level of inflation and the cost of properties. You ask people because of inflation, okay, you have to do evaluation. When you evaluate, it means you find that the building that used to cost 40 million naira, that used to insure for 40 million, when you now do the evaluation, that's gone to about 60, 70 million. Then recently we had a review of premium risk rates. So people are looking at all of those and saying, no. Let me do just content only. Let me just do building only. Or they just do the minimal compliance. Government should encourage us. When government encourages us by buying insurance and paying for it, and they empower NICOM to earn its revenue 100% for adequate regulatory processes, it will improve the lot of the nation, because enforcement itself costs money.
Yes.
And you cannot spend what you don't have.
Let's not look at the role of brokers now, insurance brokers, how they can also help advance this, the insurance industry's reputation. I think there's a lot of work with the brokers too that they have to do.
Yes, I will talk to the fact that the NCRIB is a 62-year-old body by February, and we have played pivotal roles in deepening insurance. Beyond that, we have played pivotal role in advising clients on what policies to take. We have played roles that otherwise bad claims would not have been mitigated. We've been the kind of professional intermediary that everybody runs after. In Nigeria today, we have 600 registered insurance brokers. And I tell you, 70% of the business that is being written by underwriters in Nigeria are provided by brokers. I tell you. And 70% of that figure is based in Lagos. So the role of brokers remains unquestionable. Because what we do, we profile risk and we take avenues to mitigate them. Sometimes a broker ends up becoming a consultant. Okay, you can't afford the premium. Okay, let's do it this way. We fashion a way to mitigate your risk. We can do some kind of captive or some fund or self-insurance where we find that there may not be catastrophic losses that will throw the company out of business or the entity out of existence. And these are some of the things that I think we need to talk to state governments to do, to create some fund for disasters like we have in Ibadan. They should create some fund and get professional insurance managers to partner with them and manage those funds. When they have large disasters such as that, then the uninsured losses are met out of it. And those people will now have a way, a kind of moratorium to pay back to the government for putting them back in business. Government should ensure that, under the Factory Ordinance Act, that factories are insured and they observe safety measures. Insurance is not Salvation Army. Even though you are insured and you don't follow the warranties in the policies and the rest, you may end up having a bad claim. So we'll talk to governments to create some funds for disasters. Because let me tell you, in all honesty, you cannot have a fully compliant society when it comes to insurance. Do you have an insurance policy?
Yeah, I do for my car.
For your car only?
Yeah, I do for my car.
What of your dependents? You don't think of I
think there's a bank plan for that too. But anyway, I agree that more needs to be done, and that's why we are asking you. Okay, in recent times we've also seen
if you feel your portion,
every other person,
then the GDP will grow.
Okay, that means we'll take it more seriously.
Take it more seriously.
But we've had severe fire incidents. You mentioned Bodija now. We saw what happened in Mandalas. And what is the professional advocacy role? What roles are you playing, by the industry to reduce incidences like this? What more are you?
Yeah, we are doing education. We are partnering with fire service to educate people. We are going into motor parks. We are going into markets. We are going into areas of businesses, those that are prone to fire incidents. But what we have seen is that maybe when you go to such places, you have a surge in a customer base, people who really want to take it up. But after 1 or 2 years, nothing has happened, then they relax. But they don't believe that risk does not have a timetable. It can be ignited by anybody. Take the Bodija incident, for example. It happened in an elitist environment.
Yes.
And you can imagine something like that happening there. And you can imagine that those airlines, most of them are not insured. But we have some of our members who are serving some of them, and their claims are being profiled, and they are being attended to as we speak. Because that is the role of insurance, to give you a peace of mind and to put you back in the position you were before the loss. And for all you do for that is a token. Like insurance, premium is a function of liability. The liability that you face and the risk that you wish to dispense or you wish to transfer may be larger than my own. You still have children going to school. I don't have children going to school. I don't need educational insurance anymore. So every kind of risk is profiled. That is the role of the broker. The broker looks at you, does a tailor-made policy for you. That, okay, you can do a single premium policy to cover various other risks. He packages it. He says to the underwriter, who is the buyer of the risk. And then you pay your premium. When you have a claim, the broker does the filing, does the running around for you. You just provide the material. You provide the coordinates to help him do that. Then he makes sure that this risk is negotiated. The loss is negotiated properly, and you get adequate indemnity. Basically, getting adequate indemnity, giving peace of mind, doing your leg rounds, and the professional edge of studying the policy, dissecting it, and pointing out areas that you need to observe and areas that needs to be deleted or expunged from the policy. Those are the basic rules of the broker.
Interesting conversation, I must say. It's a very good way to start the week, and the message has been passed. I've been speaking to Prince Mr. Babatunde Oguntade.
Thank you.
He is the president of the Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers. Thank you for starting the week with us on Business Nigeria. We appreciate this.
Yep.